Now, with the government shutdown now in its third week with no end in sight, various agencies that are now unable to pay their employees are now giving out financial advice on how to stay afloat. Now, one such agency was the Coast Guard. Now, and look, I reported on another agency that had given similar terrible advice, and so this segment is along the same vein. Now, the Coast Guard recently released a 5-page tip on what to do. Now, some of that includes some very ridiculous things, not so much as ridiculous as becoming a carpenter or doing carpentry, but still kind of ridiculous. And I'm going to give you some of their suggestions here. They said, to get by without pay, consider holding a garage sale, babysitting, dog walking, or serving as a mystery shopper. Oh, so all those little odd jobs, well, that's going to somehow pay the bills. I didn't realize being a dog walker is that good of a paying job. I mean, really. Now, they said, quote, bankruptcy is a last option. No, it shouldn't be an option at all. No, people should not have to face filing bankruptcy, which, by the way, will destroy your credit. So, you destroy your credit because of no fault of your own, because a man-child demands this wall. Your credit's going to be, destroyed. You're going to have a hard time borrowing in the future if you want to own a home, or you already have a home, or you're going to face your car getting repossessed. I mean, there's a lot of terrible things, terrible impacts that this is having on regular families, right? And this is something that dog walking and mystery shopping is not going to help, frankly. Now, this is some bad advice. Now, the tip sheet titled Managing Your Finances During a Furlough applies to the Coast Guard's 8,500 person civilian workforce. About 6,400 of them are on indefinite furlough, while 2,100 are working without pay after being identified as essential. Now, it turns out that they were last paid for the 2-week period that ended in December 22nd of last year. Now, this is Lieutenant Commander Scott McBride, a service spokesman. He's saying, quote, while it may be uncomfortable to deal with the hard facts, it's best to avoid the hide your head in the sand reaction. Stay in charge of the situation by getting a clear understanding of what's happening. Okay, so that was not Scott McBride, actually. That was actually the tip sheet, just to be clear. So, but no, don't bury your head in the sand and stay in charge of the situation. Oh, look, okay, that's sound advice, right? I don't have any problem with that. So what is happening? What is the actual situation? When you look into it, you realize that the whole reason for this is that you have a 70-year-old man-child who is shutting down the government in order to build a ridiculous wall, or at least a portion of a ridiculous wall. Now, that is actually having real implications, a real impact on regular people like Jacqueline Esparza. Now, Jacqueline Esparza's husband is in the Coast Guard and stationed in Seattle. Now, she said that not all families affiliated with the service live in houses where having a garage sale is possible. So she was basically responding to these tips, right? Now, one of the tips is sell your stuff, sell your possessions. I'm surprised that they don't have selling your plasma on there too. Maybe that's the next tip sheet. But nonetheless, man, they're basically telling you to sell your possessions. And also you could get through a furlough created by a guy that basically threw a temper tantrum and shut down the government. Now, she also said that service members who are still required to work are not easily able to find supplemental income, and that's also true. She said, doing odd jobs and selling items we don't need anymore is a temporary fix. It's not going to help us pay the rent. No, that's true. And look, related story, that's why a lot of TSA agents have decided not to show up at work, even though they are considered essential. They're calling in because they're actually working at other jobs in order to feed their families. in order to put food on the table or pay the bills. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who can't do that, who are unable to do that. And to be fair, shouldn't have to do that. Now, there's another person that was affected by this, and her name is Natalie Daniels. Now, her husband is stationed in San Diego. Now, she said that her family situation isn't dire just yet. However, missing the coming paycheck would definitely, quote, start the clock on that. She said, "I'm not afraid of this shutdown. I'm afraid of the current political discourse that may discourage future generations from wanting to serve their country on the basis of being used as political pawns." Now, that is an interesting perspective that I think a lot of people share, but I haven't really heard before. Okay? So, what's interesting here is that, look, she believes that both parties are playing a game of political chicken with Americans. And she says it needs to stop. The thing is that, look, her idea that this will prevent people from actually wanting to serve their country, that's a good point. The other point is not a good point, because when you look at the facts, she's actually wrong on that. And look, I care about her family. Obviously, I respect what she's going through, and I understand that she's facing a possibility of a really hard time. Nonetheless, this is not the fault of the Democrats. This is not a both sides situation. Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi actually offered money to help Trump with border security, billions of dollars. And so they had an offer on the table, and Donald Trump was going to take that offer that didn't include wall funding originally. However, Trump got called out by Rush Limbaugh and Ann Coulter, two people who should be completely irrelevant, who don't represent the majority of Americans in their political viewpoints, and he got scared. He decided to bow down to those losers, those people that we should not have any respect for, and decided to shut down the government for them and for people who think like that. Not the majority of Americans, not for people like Natalie Daniels. Because people like Natalie Daniels and not only that, but Jacqueline Esparza are being hurt by this for no reason. This is the fault of Republicans. This is the fault of Mitch McConnell. This is the fault of Donald Trump. Again, Democrats said, we were willing to work with you, but now you weren't willing to work with us. You're not willing to negotiate in good faith. And so, okay, go ahead and do what you're going to do. Not only that, but you had, of course, Donald Trump saying, "I will own the shutdown." We have him on video. "I own the shutdown. I would be proud to shut down the government over border security." But again, this isn't about border security. This is about building a wall. This is about building a useless wall that is nothing more than a vanity project. And that's the thing. And besides, when did this become a national emergency? Just recently. What happened to the last year of Republican rule? What happened? What happened? What happened when Republicans had every branch of government and were able to get wall funding whenever? Was it a national emergency then? Absolutely not. No, their national emergency, their focus was tax cuts for the rich. All Trump wants is a down payment on the wall. A wall that will not work and will waste money. And if we give Donald Trump the money for this, then he's going to threaten to shut down every time to get his way. So, look, he's playing games with these people's jobs and people's lives. And here's the thing. Republicans, people like Mitch McConnell, don't care. Why? It's because they hate government jobs anyway. They don't like government workers. They want to strip them of their, rights to union representation. They want to strip them of, of pay. They haven't had pay increases in years. And so they want to destroy these government jobs. So the more people that end up having to quit and not be interested in going into government service, the more happy Republicans actually are. So that's what this is for them. So this shutdown, yes, they're taking a beating politically. However, in the long run, this achieves their goal of shrinking government and getting people to not trust in government because they don't know if the government's going to stay open or not. So that's just another example of Republican brinksmanship and bullshit. So, but for Trump, of course, this is all about saving face. This is all about his ego, and this is all about getting his way. And that's, of course, why he continues to go along with this disastrous shutdown. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.